joining me today are Geoff and Jacqueline from MS Wokouts. MS Wokouts is an online science-based strength training program that aims to progressively tax the body via the active engagement of the neuromuscular system. So welcome, Geoff and Jacqueline.
Hello, Geoff, and everyone listening.
We have a slight different spelling to Geoff, but that's Anglo-American differences. The people in Starbucks, if I go to America quite a lot, I used to before COVID, and they can't spell my name in Starbucks when they write it on the cup. They just can't. They can't bring them. So I just say, and then they look at it and they go, "That they don't stand for." I give up and just go, "Yeah, it's with a J. That's fine."
Exactly. However you want to spell it.
So to start with, could you? Yeah. So to start with, could you each introduce yourself and how you got involved with MS Wokouts? Let's start with Geoff.
So yes, I got involved with MS Wokouts, Geoff, in 2016. We were approached by an individual who, Dr. Lori Mayer, who has some relations in the community, MS community here in Austin, and she really saw an opportunity for the population of individuals living in MS to really benefit from the way we were choosing to approach exercise from. And, so after several conversations over time, she, got us hooked up with and finally talked to the Texas chapter of the Multiple Sclerosis Society. And they wanted to put together a pilot study to really see, get hands-on and see exactly how the technique would benefit individuals. So we took, I believe it was 60 individuals over a 6-month period through exercise program with pre and mid and post evaluations with Tina Waring and Dr. Fox here in Round Rock, Texas, who specializes in multiple sclerosis, and they all saw really good results. So at that point, the Texas chapter of the Multiple Sclerosis Society really was encouraging us to put together a DVD, so that they could take this to the masses and really reach individuals who were being underserved and could not, gain access to physical therapy and or, the exercise that they needed on a regular basis. So once that conversation began, we really wanted to make sure that we created something of value for individuals, and we quickly decided that a DVD was too stagnant. We wouldn't have the ability to truly personalize this experience for individuals. And that's one of the things that makes the biggest difference in people seeing results, is being able to personalize the experience to the current state of the individual. And that's what exercise is really all about. So in 2017, we decided to create MS Wokouts. And from there, we have continued to grow the program and add aspects to it, and individuals a part of it. And really have put together a community that I truly believe, is doing great things to serve the MS community.
And also, I think the idea not to go with DVD was probably the right one, based on my kids now would not understand what a DVD is. They look at it.
Exactly.
Whereas YouTube, or then it's
I was a little brought aback whenever they recommended the DVD. So.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't play one anymore. That's it. Yeah, I don't even have a drive on my computer. So, yeah. And Jacqueline, how about yourself? How did you get involved with MS Wokouts?
Thank you, Geoff. So welcome, everyone. My name is Jacqueline Vandergaag, and I live with multiple sclerosis. I live in Southern Ontario, Canada. And in 2009, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I was mid-20s, and I was given this label, "You have multiple sclerosis." Over the years, I was doing well. I had a couple children and things were going well. And then come 2018, I noticed that I was really fatigued, and I was sitting around the house. I was always tired. I couldn't go shopping. My feet were dragging a lot. This is actually what my socks look like. They are worn right out. These are the socks that I bought, and they within I don't even know, probably 2 or 3 weeks, I had these holes in them. And I said to my husband, I said, "These socks are cheap. Why are they so cheap?" And he goes, "Dear, you're dragging your foot." And I said, I didn't want to hear that. My neurologist had never told me that. And so then I started searching. And I always enjoyed exercise. I thought, okay, exercise, MS, enter, Google search. And I came across MS Wokouts. And I joined in 2018. And I haven't looked back. That's been 5 years ago, and I've I've gained so much strength. I'm able to like walk and go shopping. This morning before we sat down, I did my groceries. I was in the store running around with a big grocery cart of food because I had to get it done. And I love it. I have independence. I'm able to do it. What else is there? So in 2020, the MS Workouts team reached out to me and they said to me, hey, do you want to be part of our team? And I said, sure. And as I was working with them, they said, what about leading workout classes? And that is what I do. So if you follow us on our YouTube channel, you'll see that every month I go jump on live and I lead a live group workout class. As for Steady Pacers at MS Workouts, I lead a workout class twice a week. Mondays and Wednesdays, I'm down here in my Steady Pace studio leading a workout class to encourage and to engage people, to tell them, like, we got to push our muscles to exhaustion. Let's do it together. And it has been such a blessing to me. So that's how I've benefited from MS Workouts, but also how I can help others and walk alongside so many other individuals who trust us with their strength.
Yeah, I like the way that you've got the both of you, actually, because I've looked lots of your videos, and so I see Geoff do it, and I think that's perfect form. So that's good. That's what I'm aiming for. But realistically, then I see Jacqueline do it, and I think, okay, you get it though. You're kind of like me, so I kind of get you get what I'm going through. But then there's Geoff. That's perfect form. Okay, so that's what I'm aiming for. But also, you're not just like, oh yeah, you can do this because you haven't got the problems I've got. Whereas I think, okay, Jacqueline has got the problems I've got, and you can see that you're not. You're in a very good state for someone with MS, but equally, some things are a bit more challenging, and that's what we have to live with. So yeah, I think it's quite good having the two. And I know there's other team members as well, but yeah, having people with multiple sclerosis and people without works pretty well. So could you give us a bit of history of MS Workouts and explain what it is and what it entails, what Steady Pace is, what the science is behind that? So that's a question for Geoff, I guess.
Yeah, sure, Geoff. So in 2017, as I mentioned, we created a platform, and it was a basic platform then. We were kind of getting our feet wet, trying to decide what was really needed in the community. And since then, we have really built out a platform for individuals that involves weekly strength training sessions. It involves live weekly strength training sessions with Jacqueline. There's on demand. That way, if people can't be at the live sessions with Jacqueline, they can utilize the on demand exercise that's updated on a weekly basis with programming changed. There's a seated and a standing, both series. So we accommodate individuals where their current state is, because at the end of the day, we all have the same muscles, and no matter what the current state is, we can positively affect our situation. We also have private one-on-one personal training offered to our individuals via Zoom, where they can literally sign up for one-on-one sessions with one of our Steady Pace trainers, and they will show up with them on Zoom and talk them through their exercise, so they can cue them form, adjustments, all the above. From a community standpoint, we have weekly live Q&As with myself and Jacqueline. Dr. Lori Mayer visits. Other team members are involved as well too, so that we can answer questions directly, live on Zoom on a weekly basis, around their exercise, their active rest nutrition. So the piece that we have really started to build out in the last couple of years is what we call active rest recovery piece. So, before I get into the science of the strength training, and the strength training is something that is not done frequently. It's done infrequently because of the level, the intensity, which I can talk about here briefly in a second, is super important. But it's those times in between the strength training that in reality can really make the difference for an individual. Because let's face it, individuals aren't always feeling up to, for one reason or another, strength training. So giving individuals something else to engage with, as well as something that can help their recovery process and develop greater results, which is active rest in recovery, has really been a piece that I think people have really valued. So we have yoga classes. We have a yoga instructor, Michelle Silva, who does yoga classes for our individuals. We have movement drills. So we have morning movement drills. We have over 142 videos shot that go over different movement drills that target different areas that can be done on a daily basis to really help the recovery process. So we have group chats. Ms. Jacqueline goes and has a group chat every Friday. And we have obviously a closed Facebook group. So we have presentations by Dr. Lori Mayer, who is a specialist, has 30 years of experience in the field as a nurse practitioner. So we really have tried to put together a one-stop shop for individuals to have access to the tools that they need on a 7-day, weekly basis when it comes to exercise, recovery, and support. So
when you say 3 days, you don't mean 3 days and then do nothing. You're talking
exactly
3 days
right.
Is the maximum for muscle, but then you have active. It's an active rest. It's not do nothing.
Exactly. Yep. So and that's the thing. And our members typically exercise anywhere between 1 to 3 times a week, and that really comes down to a few things. And now we're kind of getting into the exercise science part and the nuts and bolts behind the steady pace technique. But what we focus on and is a higher intensity mode of exercise, and the reason we focus on that for 2 main reasons. First and foremost, typically individuals do not see the results that they want because they're missing the intensity piece. Your exercise intensity has to be high enough over a period of time to prompt results. And then you have to recover from that. And that's another piece that people typically miss. So depending on where you are in your journey or your current state, the intensity of your exercise is really relative to how well you're able to engage the muscle and push the muscle. So some individuals are going to stimulate themselves and engage at a very, very high level, meaning they need more recovery time. So they're going to exercise 1 to 2 times a week. Individuals who actually have a really good recovery ability and or are not executing the intensity at the level of, individual A that I just mentioned would be, they're going to be able to apply the exercise more often, right? 2-3 times a week, because the intensity isn't, as high as the other individuals. So we really wanted to make sure from the active rest recovery piece that we gave individuals guidance, because as you just mentioned, what we niche in is the part of exercise that we believe is the hardest for individuals to take care of on their own. Not only from a motivational standpoint, because it's, uncomfortable being uncomfortable, but also from a biomechanical standpoint, knowing exactly how to execute a higher intensity exercise session safely in a measured manner that's going to consistently give you results. So the intensity piece is super important. And it's not only important for the results aspect in general, but for individuals living with MS, it's even more important. And the reason being is, I think you've had Dr. Aaron Balster on here before, and he talks about having, multiple spoons, right? I love the analogy. How many spoons do you have for the day, right? Resource-wise. And it's super important for individuals to realize that while living with MS, and this as an individual living with MS, you have a limited amount of resources, and that changes on a daily basis. So when you're choosing to put forth effort and use those resources towards exercise, an individual should really be thinking about the volume at which they are executing their exercise at. Meaning, the higher the intensity, the lower the volume has to be. The lower the intensity, the higher the volume has to be. So it's a double-edged sword there. When you pull the intensity back, you actually have to do more, which then expends more resources and digs a greater ditch from an immune system, neuromuscular system standpoint for you then to dig yourself back out of. And while living with a neurological disorder, you have to be, or you don't have to be, but we suggest, right, you be cognizant of that, because it's going to affect you for the rest of the day and possibly the following day. So the steady pace technique, jumping into kind of the science behind it, does focus on the intensity, but at the end of the day, we also add measurement and specificity, which are 2 very important things when it comes to developing personal results for individuals. Whether it's personalized results or not, in any process, we truly believe, and I think most would agree with us, that you should measure the process if you care about the outcome. And so many times in exercise, individuals, they just don't measure the outcome. They're going to count sets or reps, maybe, rest times between sets, but they're truly not measuring the stimulus of exercise to the particular body part on a regular basis. And if you're not doing that, then it's very hard for you to know where you should be going and what the path is. We joke and say all the time with our members, give the analogy of a ship with GPS, right? You would not take a ship, turn it on, let it go out of the harbor without GPS or a captain and expect it to get to its destination. And exercise is the same way. You have to measure the process, because we're going to have ups and downs throughout our day, week, year. And it's super important to understand where the current state of your body is, so you know what to apply the next time in order to continue to progressively get results. And then lastly, specificity. We add specificity to the equation. Meaning, if an individual has a goal of going up the stairs, more efficiently, then we're going to give them the tools that allow them to target the muscles that will positively affect that specific movement. It's just like any, strength and conditioning professional or exercise physiologist professional is going to do what's called a movement analysis, meaning whatever the goal of the individual is, we need to know what muscles are involved in the movement that they're looking to improve upon. And then you need to target those muscles with adequate intensity and volume without doing too much to exacerbate the situation and allowing enough recovery to prompt the results that someone wants. So that's the biggest difference, I think, in our technique, is that it's nothing fancy. We can nuance the heck out of it because I love the science behind it. I think, everyone who knows me knows that. But we like to pound the fundamentals of exercise science and personalize those to individuals. And at the end of the day, it works. We have hundreds of testimonials. I can sit here and talk about it all day long, but, seeing Jacqueline become a part of the team and hearing the results that she's had and our other members, that's why we do what we do. Larry, an individual he doesn't mind me sharing his name, was in our live Q&A last week and shared with us that for the first time, his family felt confident enough in his strength that he's developed over the last 3 months to allow him to be alone with his granddaughter for several hours, which he was not able to do beforehand. But he's now able to do because he's developed strength in using this system and this process. And that's why we do what we do. I get asked that question all the time. Why are you doing this? And, you don't live with MS. And I say, well, I don't do what I do for any other reason other than I get to positively affect people with the information and knowledge that I've accrued over the years through, my degrees and my teaching at Texas State University. And this is what I love to do, positively impact individuals. And once we realized here, at Practical Fitness MS Workouts, that we could positively impact and empower individuals in this community at the level that we're able to do, it was a no-brainer to us that we wanted to help and be a part of this in any way that we could.
And so you mentioned some successes. So Jacqueline, what successes have you seen with your clients?
Excellent. Yeah, that's a great question. It's a question people always want to know. Does it work? And Geoff's alluded to it as well. So Geoff mentioned Larry, who's, he can take care of his grandchildren, right? And that's a huge thing for him. He's a retired engineer, and it's what he loves to do. He's not the only one. I sat down with Dana the other day. Same thing. She's had friends who said that she's walking better, she's moving better. I was chatting with she doesn't mind me sharing her name either, Nicole, and the same idea. I actually interviewed her, and the interview was ready to go out. It actually was released today, ironically, and she had a whole bunch of improvements. She's like, "Can we redo the interview?" And I said, "Nicole, why?" And she says, "Well, I'm walking independently." She's like, "I go out by myself." It used to be she'd walk independently when she forgot her mobility aid, or she'd hold her husband's hand. So we did a post-interview thing, and she's like, "I walk independently." And I said, "Well, your poor husband is probably going to watch your bank account because you're out shopping," because it's what she loves to do, and it's changed her life dramatically. And so it gives me goosebumps when I hear that, right? When you hear people who they do the hard work. I mean, I'm here leading workout classes, and I'm telling them you got to do it. But I say to them, I'm just the one not yelling at you, but I'm the one telling you, push those muscles to engage, like engage them and push them to exhaustion. That's the only way to results. It's not comfortable. I agree. They don't want to talk to me at the end. Well, usually they do, but I say, you don't want to talk to me because it's difficult, but I'm like, you need to do it. I mean, we're just the way doing it. And so when you hear those success stories, it prompts you to keep going, right? Like it just, and as someone with MS, I know, we all know what it's like. You go to the neurologist and you're kind of, at least for me, maybe it's more of a personal thing. I go to the neurologist and I kind of expect him to look to see what else I have lost. And the other day, like a couple months ago, I went there and I said to him, I showed him like I actually am moving sideways a lot better. And I was so positive because I said to him, look at what I've gained. It's not about what I lost, it's what I've gained because of hard work. So that's why I think these success stories, they're nice. They make us feel good, but they could be you. So if you're watching this on the OMS podcast, that could be you. And it can be you. You just need to put your best effort in. Honestly, the bottom line for me, what I love about the steady pace technique, it does not have to be your personal best every day. We're not setting personal records. Yes, we're writing down our time. You just need to give your best effort. And that truly is, and that's your best effort today. That can be affected by your sleep last night. We all know our sleep's interrupted. It could be affected by your nutrition. It could be affected because you got up in the middle of the night because your kids, had you running around. Just give your best effort. Whenever it's an exercise day, give your best effort every single exercise, and you will
And
see
so
results.
could you explain a bit about, if someone hasn't seen any of your videos at all, a bit about steady pace? And because there is a sort of format to whatever the exercise is, you do have a sort of standard way things are done. So could you explain a bit about that steady pace technique?
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Jacqueline.
Yeah, go on, Jacqueline. You do. Sorry, I should have said.
Take two. All right. That's okay. That's fine. I know we always cut and paste in my videos too, so take two. So what is the steady pace technique? We've dropped that a few times in this interview. What does it mean? It is a very unique way of exercising and strength training. It's a method that they use in the practical fitness studios down in Texas, but is what we use here at MS Wokouts. And very simply, we want you to actively engage the entire time. So that means continuously through an exercise set. And each exercise set is only 1 minute and 30 seconds, 90 seconds, no more. That's all we want. So in those 90 seconds, we want you to hit exhaustion. Ideally in those last 30 seconds, when those muscles are shaking, rattling, and rolling and burning, we want those muscles to be that point where they're actually exhausted and they give up. At MS Wokouts, we always say, failure is actually success. So when we make those muscles fail and they can't go anymore, whether that means your form falls apart, or that means your muscles just stop and you have to disengage, that's failure. That's a good thing. You've sent that message to those muscles that they have to get stronger. And when we send that message to those muscles, it goes back to our brain, and our brain goes, whoa, what just happened? I could not do that resistance. I could not do that for longer than 45 seconds, longer than 15 seconds. What do I do? It needs to get stronger. And that's where we have to make sure with adequate protein, active rest, the muscles will respond. So touching on the active rest, what does that mean? For active rest, we've kind of alluded to this earlier. It's not what you think it is. You're not going to sit and put your feet up and, enjoy the afternoon. It really is. We've sent the loud message with the stimulus on day 1, let's say. Day 2, you need to have active rest. That means giving back to your body. Get those blood to those muscles. And at MS Wokouts, our platform includes many different modalities. That means we have yoga for active rest. We have stretch classes. We have movement drills. All 3 of which you can find on our YouTube channel as well if you're looking for more. And they're all specific. So we have them symptom specific. We know as people with MS, we have foot drop, we have weak hip flexors, we have core issues, and all of those active rest activities are very specified and very specific for those symptoms that we're experiencing, that we're working on, that we want to get stronger, we want to reduce our foot drop. Then jump in on your active rest days as you recover and get those active rests for the yoga.
And a bit more about steady pace. So what happens if you hit 1 minute 30, which is success or failure, whichever way around you want to put it? But so you do 1 minute 30 of that exercise and you're fine. You didn't fail and you got to 1 minute 30. So what do you do then?
So we use resistance bands. So grab a higher resistance. Yeah. So that's what we need. So we want you to continuously engage the whole time until you reach exhaustion. And it is a really safe technique because we don't use momentum. So I'm always telling people, put those brakes on, slow down the momentum. I count them down. We have our technique. If you followed our YouTube channel, we know it's, every 7 seconds on a dynamic up, down kind of thing. And that makes it slow. So those muscles are soaking up that burn.
And what about if you're at the other end? So some things I have real trouble with. So on my left leg, I would have trouble lifting my knee when I'm sitting down, actually just lifting it off the chair. My right leg's fine. My right leg's bounces up and down because it doesn't have any problems. But my left leg, I can't. So what would you do then if you can't get to 1 second? How do you manage with that?
It's an excellent question. Ironically, this is exactly where I was when I started. I couldn't lift. You say you couldn't lift your legs. I couldn't. I remember them saying, lift your knee up. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll do that. My head said I could. My body couldn't. So we have assisted, and we'll circle back around later on and I'll show you. We can see it on our YouTube channel. We have assisted hip flexion that you can help assist your knee up. So you can use bands, you can use towels, you can use belts to assist that knee up. And so you can get to that point where you can strengthen and hit those hip flexors to target them.
And I sometimes, I don't know if it's a personal thing, but when you sort of do left and right, I don't always do it that way. I will often do right first, because right is not easy, but my right leg works sort of normally. And then it kind of is telling my brain what to do, how you lift legs up, or, heels or feet or whatever. So I kind of do the one that works. It's not sort of, I'm not doing it because it's easier. I'm not doing, oh, well, that's a cop out, I'm doing the easy one first. It's kind of because that's the one that, because you don't think, that's sort of, I think you need to explain. Sometimes people who don't have MS, you're saying, do you know what, I have to think how to walk with one of my legs. With the other one, I just walk, and it just does it, because it knows, it's had 50 years of doing it. It knows how to do it. But my left leg, I'm thinking, right, my knee needs to go up, my heel needs to go back up, my foot needs to be raised, and then I swing through, and then I put my heel down. Then I'm kind of thinking that through almost. It's but if I do it with the right leg first, then that's done it because it knows how to do it, and then the other one kind of catches up a bit. Does that make sense?
Yes, that absolutely makes sense. So I know I've always tell my members when I'm in class with them too, if I usually start left and then go right, but if your strong side is your right side and you want to flip-flop it, it's not a problem. As long as you hit both sides, it's good to go. And like you say, sometimes we have to do our strong side first. I do that on a couple exercises too. My strong side is my right side, so I do that first. Simply so that, like you say, the left side kind of learns or watches and learns, so that it can actually hopefully mimic and do the same thing. It doesn't really matter, especially when we do unilaterally, which one you do first. So if you prefer to do the one versus the other,
and
it's great. But like you say, there's a lot of thinking
things you didn't think about before, you're suddenly thinking about. And Geoff, you mentioned protein quite a bit. So what's the importance of protein in the MS Wokouts program?
Yeah, so we focus on just educating people around adequate protein levels for, not only general health, but for development of, muscular tissue and results. I think it's important. It's usually shocking to individuals the level of protein that is actually recommended for individuals to maintain deficiency-free health. Which, through medical school at Harvard, Mayo Clinic, which are very similar to a lot of the other recommendations across the globe. It's 0.36 grams per pound of goal body weight if you're using pounds.
You've used both systems, so you've gone into grams and kilograms.
Exactly.
So if we were to do...
Exactly.
I think probably... So if we, so in this... It's probably most of the States now. So in the States, so go again, what's the grams per pound was... What was that one?
3.6 grams per pound of goal body weight is the recommendation for the minimum.
And then for kilos, do you know that one as well?
It's 0.8, yes, grams per kilogram.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And again, that is a minimum, Geoff, which is what, I think it's super important for people to realize a minimum amount for, and if you look at these recommendations and read them, it says a minimum for an individual who is sedentary and who is under 50 years old.
Okay.
To maintain deficiency-free health. And I think it's important for people to realize, 70% of your brain is made up of water, 10 to 12% is made up of lipids, and 8 to 10% is made up of protein. A lot of people think that the brain is just, lipids and protein. 1/3 of your bone structure is made up of protein. A neuron, a single neuron is made up of billions of amino acids. So I think it's important for individuals to realize how important protein is, not just for development of muscle tissue and strength, but for your well-being as an individual. The recommendations when someone is strength training and over 50 years old, because when you get over 50, we start to really have an acceleration and atrophy, right, or sarcopenia, which is the loss of muscle. Those recommendations change to upwards of 1 gram per pound of goal body weight, or 2.2 grams per goal body weight or kilogram of weight. So, and especially on those days that you're exercising, and particularly the day after. I think in the coming years, there will definitely continue to be research around undulating your intake of protein as well as calories, because we do know that caloric deficit and or pulling back on calories is really good for the immune system and the body. But when you're trying to repair and rebuild in an anabolic state from an exercise session, it's super important to make sure that your body has those building blocks, really and truly, the amino acids and proteins to develop the best results. You've hit me with some
more bad news for 50-year-olds as well. My eyesight went. I had perfect eyesight for 50 years, and then suddenly I can't see. And now I've got. But it's more protein. Right. I thought you were going to say less for people older, but no, it's actually increased the protein as you get older. And then 0.8, that's sedentary. So that is like literally you're not doing anything. You still need 0.8. And so we are aiming to get fitter and stronger. So we wouldn't need to go. And would you say, is there a maximum? I mean, are you worried about having too much protein?
Right. Very, very good question. So, there used to be this train of thought that, excess protein can be really tough on your kidneys. And the breadth of research out there, unless you're dealing with kidney issues, like you're on dialysis or something like that, the research doesn't support that it's terrible for your kidneys. So, at the end of the day, I think the toughest thing for individuals is to get enough protein. And then also balance getting enough protein without excess calories. So there are many different ways for individuals to go about getting their protein in. And we kind of talked about this beforehand a little bit, Geoff, right? But I think what we choose to do is educate people on that number, that goal number that they're trying to hit, and then allow them to be consciously competent around the understanding that you want to also be conscious of the amount of calories that you're getting in. So making sure that the choices that you're choosing have a good protein to calorie ratio so that you're not putting on excess body fat with excess calories in the process. It usually shocks people. We talk about different choices like pecans, for example. Pecans, like I think it's 6.2 ounces of pecans, which is not that much. It's 1,300 calories. It's 20 grams of protein, but it's 1,300 calories. So pecans aren't bad for you, but they're just calorically dense, so and you kind of mentioned and alluded to earlier, Geoff, that some individuals would choose to have fish, and or a lot of individuals would choose to have protein.
So overcoming MS is a fish-based whole food diet. So it's essentially it's almost, if you said vegan plus fish, that's probably, but it's also low saturated fat. So there are some things like coconut oil, which although is plant oil, is actually very, very high saturated fat. So that's not recommended. But yeah, as long as, people are getting their protein. So it doesn't really matter what you're saying, if it's fish-based, if it's pea protein, those things, it's protein amounts.
Well, yeah. And as we kind of alluded to earlier, it does matter. It does matter, actually, from an individual standpoint. But what we always encourage individuals to do is to find that answer with your professional, with your dietitian, with your doctor. Individuals respond differently to different types of proteins and different levels. And it's super important to understand what the recommendations are, try to aim to hit those, and then fine tune those dials of exactly what works best for your body with your primary practitioner, your dietitian, the professionals that hopefully you have in your world that can help you fine tune that process.
Okay, brilliant. And Jacqueline, as something unique for this episode, we've been doing 4 years of podcasts, but we've never had a live workout. So I believe you prepared a mini workout for us today. Would that be okay if you lead us through that?
I have, yes. Welcome to the OMS workout class powered by MS Wokouts. Today our schedule is the following. We're going to start with body fundamentals, and then we're going to jump into 2 of our most popular focus-ons that we offer at MS Wokouts. And we're going to do a couple exercises from each. The first is our hip flexors and as well as our foot drop. So here we go. As we get going, I want you to think about a few things. And that is this. In order to have a workout, we need to make sure we have water. So we actually actively have the nutrition and cool our body down. Also have a cool environment. Make sure you also have resistance bands if you need it, or a band or a towel. As we do these exercises, you may need those. And make sure you have a progress journal so you can jump on our YouTube channel, down below any of the exercise classes, you'll see a way to get that progress journal to write down your results. Because as we alluded to earlier, writing down our results is super important. It helps us take the guesswork out of what we're doing. Here at MS Workouts, we have a lot of exercises, and personally, I don't know what color band I'm using. I've got lots of bands here, and I don't know what I'm actually picking in. So make sure you write down that point where you reach muscle exhaustion. And one more thing, make sure your environment is safe. We don't want you tripping over things, and we'll get ready going. So my last question to you is, are you ready? Here we go. So the quote I want to share with you today to help motivate you and inspire you to jump in and do this workout. And that is this: the only one who stops you is yourself. Now this quote I shared with quite a while ago, but I was talking with a member this week, and she said, you know, I asked her, what's your favorite quote? And she said, this one: the only one that stops you is you. So let's do this. Let's dig deep and push our muscles to exhaustion, because we know that's where it's at. So here we go. The first exercise that we're going to start with is our armchair push-up. Now this exercise is it's a part of our body fundamental exercises. It's going to hit those muscles in the upper body well. As you all know, we're not just foot drop, we have a whole body. So we're going to target those body, get that heart rate up, and hit it hard. So as we get started, I want you to make sure you have a chair. Your chair does not need to have armrests, but if you do, I'll show you how to hold that, and we'll just give it our best effort. So here we go. For that armchair push-up, I'm going to turn my chair sideways so you can see a little bit more better. But what we're going to be doing is, as I sit in my chair, I want you to hold either the arm, if you have armrests, to hold that, or you can hold the seat of your chair. I have my legs fully extended, but if you have hyperextension on those knees, drop your knees to 90 and come on up. So I want you to push through the palm of your hand, not your fingers, because that'll hurt your wrist. We're not doing that. And as you can see here in my Steady Pace studio that I do workouts in, I have a clock up here on this shelf here. And it says 1:30 now, so I'm going to reset it. And that is for you. When you hit muscle exhaustion, look at the time, remember it, and jump right back in the exercise. And afterwards, you'll know that, write that down and record it so you're at. So here we go, guys. Let's do this. Let's push these muscles to exhaustion. So I'm going to sit up nice and tall in my chair. My shoulders are above my hips. And we're going to follow me to starting position. We're going to come all the way up. Here we go. Clock is on. As I'm going up, we're just going to hold and go for time. You're going to feel this. It's going to light up your shoulders. It's going to light up your triceps, your pecs. You're going to feel your heart rate take off, and that's okay. Just breathe into that nose, out that mouth. Give your best effort. That's the only expectation. Just keep giving your best effort. If you disengage and drop, not a problem. Jump right back in. Squeeze that chair. Have a slight bend in those elbows and give it your best. Don't forget to breathe in that nose, out that mouth. Remember, our goal is muscle exhaustion, because that's going to tell our muscles they have to get stronger. And as it shakes and rattles and rolls, that's a normal thing. Here we go. Keep breathing. We're approaching the 45-second mark. Good work. And when you exhaust, remember that time, jumping back in. Good work. Dig deep, guys. Remember, we want to be stronger than MS. We want to overcome MS. Let's do this for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep going. 30 more seconds to exhaust our muscles. The burn is starting to come in my arms. I can feel it in my triceps. Good work. Dig deep and squeeze. Give it your best. You got it. It's hard, but we want it to be hard. It's very efficient. Let's do this as we're holding for 5, 4, 3. Good work. 10 more seconds to go. That's it for me. Jumping right back in for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Excellent work. Way to push those muscles. Give your muscles a quick shake. Jot down those notes and what time you exhausted your muscles so that you can jump right back in later on. Excellent work. As you can hear, my heart rate spiked. We've got a good cardiovascular going on here. Nicely done. Excellent work. So that's part of our body fundamentals that we have for here at MS Workouts. We're going to do one more body fundamental. Usually we do about, depending on which class you're in, 7 to 10 exercises to hit that full upper body fundamentals from head to toe. And we'll get rock and rolling. So that last one was metabolic. We just held and went for time. Now we're going to do our safe squat. It is a dynamic exercise, so that's a bit different. I'll lead you through that. That dynamic safe squat looks like this. So same idea. We need you to have your chair, because when you exhaust, I want you to hit your chair. Don't be like one of my members who said, oh, it's okay. He jokingly said to me, he goes, it's okay. I always hit the ground. I said, I don't want you to hit the ground, Larry. We said to Larry earlier. And he laughed. He goes, it's okay. I'm like, I know you know how to land, but we're not doing that. So for our safe squat, I have a chair in front of me. But if you're not able to stand straight and hold it there, you can also have a chair in front of you. That's where I started. I had a chair right in front of me. It's not a problem. So the goal for this one, I'm going to turn again sideways. We're going to stand up nice and tall. And we're going to bend at the knees. Make sure your knees don't go over those toes. So I'm going to turn myself sideways. Keep your back nice and flat. The best way I would say it is I had a member in one of my classes. So she said, it's like a chicken laying an egg. She's like, that's what I do. Lisa says, oh, it's like I think of it as a chicken laying an egg. So she's like, we're going to sit and we're going to bend that bum out. So dynamic is different. So I'm going to come follow me to starting position. Don't have those knees fully locked. Here we go. Clock is on. I want you to slowly bend that knees. Push your bum out. Keep your back flat as we go back down for 2, 1. Pause. Now come right back up. Keep your weight on those heels as you come right back up. Good work. And squeeze those glutes. Up we go for 2, 1. Keep the tempo slow. Going right back down. 7 seconds slow as we go back down for 3, 2, 1. If you exhaust, come right back up. If you exhaust, not a problem. That's success. Up we go for 3, 2, 1. Good work. And down I go right again. You're going to feel that burn in your bum. Keep squeezing those glutes. Good work. It's going to help us be stronger. Down for pause. Up we go nice and slow. Squeeze those glutes. Keep those weight on the heels. Up we go nice and slow for 3, 2, 1. 15 more seconds. We're in the exhaust range. Down we go nice and slow. Good work for 2, 1. Pause and up we go for 7 more seconds for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good work. And down we go. Last 30 seconds to exhaust these muscles. Push that bum out. Keep their back flat. Down we go for 1. Pause and up we go. Squeeze those glutes. It's getting hard. I know it is. We're in the last 3 seconds of the belt muscle for failure. Up we go for 2. Pause. Down we go. 15 more seconds. Let's dig deep. Nice and slow for 2, 1. Pause and up I go one more time. Dig deep. Keep those weights in the heels. Up we go for 3, 2, 1. And slowly disengage. Excellent work. Way to dig deep on that one. So write down that time in your journal so you know what time you exhausted those muscles, because that will help us dial those exercises in. All right. So that was our body fundamentals. At MS Workouts, we often have our body fundamentals, and they are very typically probably close to roughly 8 exercises per class in the body fundamentals. Then we switch into the focuses. Now in my live workout classes, we switch it every month, depending on what members want. This month, we're currently working on hip flexors, but hip flexors and foot drop are both our most popular ones to do. So I'm going to keep going on this. I'm going to show you some examples that we made just for you guys. And that is this. We're going to do our foot drop and then hip flexor. So here we go. Our first exercise is my personal favorite, assisted dorsiflexion on the left side. This is actually it's not my personal favorite. It's one of my favorites. My next one is. It's a metabolic exercise. So what does this dorsiflexion look like? I want you to sit on a chair, and we're going to extend our left leg all the way out. We're going to keep our heel on the ground, and I want you to bring your toes up towards your shin. So as we sit on that chair, we can use that band. And I want you to bring it underneath your left foot, drive that heel into the ground, pull with a band or the belt or a towel, pull that band up to your shin. And we're just going to give it our best effort. Now you may be at the point where you can't lift your ankle. Then I want you to actively think about pulling your toes all the way up. This is going to engage our anterior tibialis. So here we go. If you are ready with me, let's do this. Follow me to starting position. We're going to assist those toes. Keep your heel, drive that heel into that ground. Assist your toes all the way up. Here we go. And clock is on. And now this is a metabolic set. We're just going to hold and go for time. Now, as I assisted it all the way up, I'm actually going to loosen my grip on the band so that way my muscles are doing the work. Now, my foot is slightly dropping. That's okay. But at that point, my muscles are fully engaged. The muscle I'm hitting is my anterior tibialis. You'll feel it on the outside of that leg. And we're just going to go for time. Keep thinking about pulling that foot all the way right back up. This will help us with foot drop. When we walk, we have to toe off. We need to have strong anterior tibialis. So we toe off and pull up. So keep pulling those toes all the way up. Just give it your best. Just give your best is all we need to do. As we're holding, we're past the 40-second mark. Good work. Dig deep. Remember, muscle exhaustion is our goal. And we can do this, guys. Dig deep. 10 more seconds, and then we're in that exhaust range. When we hit that exhaust range, it's all a muscle failure as we're holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good work. Last 30 seconds, guys, to exhaust our muscles. Let's do this. Dig deep. Keep pulling those toes up. If you've disengaged already, jump right back in. Actively think about pulling them up as we're holding for 20. Let's do this. Dig deep. My anterior tibialis is starting to shake. I can feel it. Good work. Nicely done. 12 more seconds. Remember why we're doing this. We want to be stronger than MS. We're tired of scuffing our feet on the ground as we're holding for 4, 3, 2, 1. And slowly disengage. Good work. Give it a shake out. Nicely done. And jot in that journal what time you exhausted those muscles. Nicely done. All right. So now that we've done that assisted dorsiflexion on that left side, we're going to flip-flop to the other side. And let's do our right assisted dorsiflexion. And that way, we can hit both sides. Again, it's a metabolic exercise. So use that band, that belt, a towel, anything. We're going to put it underneath our right foot. And we're going to assist those toes up towards our shin. Like so. And like I said, just give it your best effort. All right, so here we go. Ready to rock and roll? Let's do this. So that band is underneath our right foot. Follow me to starting position. We're going to pull those toes up towards that right shin. Good work. And here we go. Clock is on. We're just going for time here, but I want you to loosen that band a little bit. Loosen the resistance there. Perfect. And your foot may fall. And stop at the point where your muscles are actually holding. So this is where I can stop. And my muscles are actively engaged, that anterior tibialis. And we're going to have to think about pulling my toes up, actually engaged. Don't make it easy. And if they already fell, not a problem. Jump right back in. If you can't lift it, I want you to sit there and think about pushing and think about engaging that foot all the way up as we're holding for 30 seconds. Good work. Dig deep. Remember why we're doing this. We want to lift our feet better. We are tired of scuffing the front of our toes. I'm sure we all have those shoes still that are all scuffed up. Here we go, guys. 15 more seconds and we're in the exhaust range. Good work. Dig deep. Squeeze that anterior tibialis. That muscle starting to shake, rattle, and roll. Good work. 7 more seconds. Nicely done as we're holding. Good work. And then we're in that exhaust range. Let's exhaust these muscles as we're hold for 1. Good work. 30 more seconds. Last 30 seconds, guys. Let's get these muscles exhausted. We want to tell them that they have to be stronger than MS. Let's do it. Dig deep as I'm pulling my toes up for 20 seconds. Nicely done. Woo, I can feel a good burn there. 15 more seconds. Dig deep. Squeeze that muscle. They're not going to like us, but that's okay. They'll like us afterwards and we don't trip and fall. As we're holding for 6. Perfect. For 4, 3, 2, 1. And slowly disengage. Give it a quick shake out. All right. So that is part of our hip flexor focus on. There's quite a few other exercises we have in MS Workouts that definitely help target our hip flexors. It's quite a wide range. I think there's about another 4 or 5. And they are great in improving your hip flexors. Or your dorsiflexors, your foot drop. So I'm going to take 2 on that one. You can cut that out. Here we go. So that is part of our foot drop series. We have a wide range of other foot drop exercises that help improve our foot drop. Next up, I'm going to switch over and do some exercises from our focus on in the hip flexor. And let's look at these ones here. So our first one is our hip flexion with a bent knee. I'm going to start on the left side. Now this is an eccentric exercise. This is different than what we've just done. We've done dynamic, metabolic. It's an eccentric, and I will show you what we're doing with that one. It's not much different. We are just going to be using, we're going to hold for 4 seconds and lower for 10. So I want you to grab a band, a towel, something to assist. So I am sitting in a chair, and I want you to sit near the front of your chair if you want, just a little bit. Make sure you're properly formed. You're not going to fall out of your chair. This is my personal favorite exercise. Truly it is. When I joined MS Wokouts, this is what they told me to do. Because when they said lift your knee up, my knee fell right down. And I was embarrassed. I felt like my body was defeating me. So what are we going to do with this hip flexion with the bent knee? Take a band, a towel, make sure it's nice and flat. I want you to put it underneath your left thigh. And I want you to sit up nice and tall. We're going to assist this knee all the way up. So my knee is at 90 degrees, and I'm going to assist it all the way up. And then we're going to hold for 4 seconds and lower for 10. So here we go. Make sure you're sitting in your chair, your pelvis is nice and square in your chair. You're not going to fall out. And here we go. We're going to assist our knee all the way up. Clock is on. Here we are. We're going to hold for those 4 seconds for 1. Pause. Now I want you to slowly lower. And as I lower, I want you to loosen your grip on the band so that the muscle, your hip flexor, is doing that work as I lower for 2, 1. Pause. Relax right back up, and we're going to hold. Dig deep. And as I hold, nice work. Now let's lower for 10. Loosen the grip. Let those muscles do the work. 3 for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good work. Sitting up tall. Assist it right back up. And we're holding. Dig deep through that burn. Now we're going to lower. Nice and slow. As we go back down, put those brakes on for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good work. Right back up the top and hold. Nicely done. If you've already exhausted, that's a good thing. Now let's lower. Good work. If you've exhausted, don't pat yourself on the back. That is muscle failure. You're doing it for 3, 2, 1. Good work. Coming right back up and holding. Last 30 seconds to reach exhaustion. Here we go. Now let's lower. Down I go nice and slow. Good work. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good work. Coming right back up and holding. This is our last time. Dig deep. Squeeze that hip flexor and hold. Now let's lower for 10 seconds. Nice and slow. We go. Here we go for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And slowly relax. Good work. So that hip flexor is definitely feeling it. You'll feel that kind of when I always say hip flexors in your pocket. If you had pockets in your shorts or your pants, that's where that hip flexor is involved, right there. And this helps us lift those knees so you can lift your foot up higher. And for me, when I had foot drop at the beginning, those holy socks I showed you at the beginning, it was because my hip flexors were incredibly weak. So here we go. Make sure you note in the journal what time you reached exhaustion and how you felt. And let's rock and roll. So I have one last exercise for you today, and that is our hip flexion with bent knee on the opposite side. Now this is on our right side, and it could look very different than what you did in the left side, and that's okay. We all have a strong side and a weak side. Let's just exercise both so we get that carryover effect, and we'll rock and roll. All right, so for that hip flexion with a bent knee on that right side, same idea. Take a band. If you're using a band, make sure it's flat. If you're using a bowel towel, make sure it's flat. Slide it underneath your right thigh. Perfect. And then we're going to sit up nice and tall. Make sure you're square in your chair. We're going to assist this knee all the way up. And like I said, this one could be your easier one. It could be harder. But make sure the biggest thing is to slow down that tempo. So here we are, sitting up nice and tall, belly button to spine. Assist your knee all the way up. Good work. And clock is on. Here we go as we're holding for those 4 seconds for 1. Pause. Now I want you to slowly lower. And as you lower, loosen that band so that way the muscle is doing the work. Nice and slow going down for 10 seconds. For 2, 1. Good work. Pause. And up we go. We're going to assist it right back up and hold. Nicely done. And now I want you to lower. As we go right back down, just give it your best effort. That's all we're doing here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good work. Coming right back up, and we're going to hold. We want strong legs. Good work. And now I want you to lower for 10 seconds. Nice and slow. Put those brakes on. Just give it your best effort. If you've exhausted, that's okay. Jump right back in for 2, 1. Pause. Up we go and hold. Failure is success, guys. As we're holding, now let's lower nice and slow. Watch your form. Make sure your knee stays in line with your hip as we go back down for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Don't relax. Back up and we're holding. We're going to give it our all. We got 30 more seconds to exhaust these muscles. Let's do this. And now we're lowering. Nice and slow lower. Good work. Just give it your best. That's all we got to do. As we're holding, down we go for 2. Pause, and one more time. Dig deep if you can do it. Lift that knee all the way up and hold. And now let's slowly lower. Let's reach a muscle exhaustion as I go back down for 4, 3, 2, 1. And slowly relax. Excellent work. That was a tough exercise. If you've got weak hip flexors, most of us do if you have MS, we found a way to, get around life without using them. We've compromised, but now we're going to get stronger because we want to push those muscles to exhaustion. All right. So as we finish this set, there's a few things I wanted to remind you about, and that is the following. Make sure, we've talked about this, but make sure you get your protein in. We've sent a loud, clear message to our muscles to get stronger, so now we have to repair them. We need the amino acids. That's in protein, so get that protein in. In addition, tomorrow's an active. If you did your exercise today, don't do it tomorrow. Tomorrow's an active rest day. Check out our YouTube channel. Do some yoga. Do some movement drills. Do some stretches. Give back to your body. Get that blood moving to those muscles. And then one other thing is don't exercise every day. So give yourself at least 48 hours. So if today was a Monday, do it on Wednesday. If you're feeling up to it. If you're not feeling up to it, don't worry about it. Wait for your body to recover. Keep doing active rest and movement drills. And lastly, I have one more thing to share with you, and that is this. If you are watching this as part of the OMS community, we have a coupon code for you. The coupon code is OMS. It will give you 10% off any membership plan at MS Workouts. So head over to msworkouts.com. Check us out. We've got monthly plans. We've got quarterly plans. We've got yearly plans. We'd love to see you join us. And as always, if you have any questions, when you head over to msworkouts.com, you can find our contact information. You can find our email address, team@msworkouts. I'd love to see you join us. And otherwise, good work today. Get that protein in. Thank you so very much.
So, Jacqueline, thank you very much for doing that. I think people wouldn't have seen me. I was doing it along with you. I'm glad you didn't do it. Actually, the push up on the chair. If you'd done that, I wouldn't be able to speak still because I was pretty out of breath.
That's okay.
So,
no, good work.
So yeah, it wouldn't really work seeing me because you'd have seen just my chest or something. I haven't got the studio set up like you have. So thank you very much for that. I think people will find just that very beneficial, and I would encourage. Well, certainly, thank you very much for the coupon code, and also you do have a massively extensive library of content as well on YouTube, so people can sample that and check out what you do, and everything will be in the show notes to link to you as well. But it's msworkouts.com, so it's pretty straightforward. Before we finish, though, is there any final comments for someone who's starting out on an exercise program who has MS? So if I ask this to Geoff, is there any final comments that you'd like to give to people?
Yeah, I think the most important thing to convey to individuals is something that Jacqueline said earlier, which is it's really important to realize that the only expectation is your best effort when it comes to exercise. So many times we judge ourselves on what we can and we can't do. And in reality, if you're looking to develop real results, what the perspective and focus should be on is meeting your body where it's currently at. If you're challenging yourself in a safe manner, you're doing it. And once that perspective shift is made, you truly realize that you're in an empowering position and that you can positively impact yourself. So no matter where you're at right now, the most important thing is that you find a group, a community that you feel comfortable getting started, right? Getting moving, challenging yourself, and know that no matter what state you're at, you can do it. You can just give your best effort. That's the most important thing.
And with that, I'd like to thank you very much, Geoff and Jacqueline.
It's our pleasure, Geoff. Thank you so
You're
much.
very welcome.